The Corsair One is a gaming PC for people who want maximum performance with a minimal footprint. Don't let the size fool you though, there's a Core i9-9900K CPU and an RTX 2080 Ti in the Corsair One i160, kept chilly with convection assisted cooling and separate closed loops for the CPU and GPU. There's also a Corsair One i140 with an i7-9700K and an RTX 2080, so click the sponsor link in the video description to learn more. What's up guys, welcome back to Paul's Hardware. This is my monthly builds video for June 2019. This is a monthly series where I do parts lists for computers, so if you don't know which parts to pick to build your computer with, then maybe this video will help you out. Or if not this video, maybe some of my older videos, because I do these just about every month, although I did not do it last month for various reasons, but check out my personal update video if you want more info on that. This month, I have a couple builds. One of them is based on what you guys voted on last month, which was actually for May, so I guess you voted on it in April. Point being, you wanted to see the Ultimate HTPC 2019 edition. I assumed that you were talking about my HTPC, so I did sort of an updated parts list for that we're going to go over. And then beyond that, so much has happened since I originally asked you guys about this, most specifically AMD announcing and confirming their Zen 2 series of processors which are coming out. So here is a straw poll for next month that you guys should go and vote on. It's linked down in the video's description. And we've got the Ryzen 3900X that should be available. They're going to be up for pre-sale on July 1st, and they're actually supposed to ship out, I believe, on July 7th. Yes, 7/7 for the 7nm processors. You also have a bang for the buck one with the Ryzen 3600, which is a $200 6-core processor. 3900X is going to be a $500 12-core processor. Also, maybe we'll have some more info on Navi by then, and then, you know, for you Intel fans, we got that fourth option. But this video is actually one of the more challenging ones to make right now because we're in an inflection point. We know there are new CPUs launching next month, but I'm supposed to be telling you guys what to build right now. If you have to build a computer right now, if you can't wait a month, I have a build for you, which is basically the Zen 2 ready PC. If you want to upgrade to Zen 2, you should plan to upgrade to Zen 2, or if you're buying a CPU right now, you should be planning to buy Zen 2, but if you need to buy right now, you can get something that will tide you over and then you can upgrade to Zen 2 next month or in a couple months. So that is the build we're gonna start with. But speaking of Zen 2, here is what is actually gonna be available. This is an article from AnandTech that has them all in a fancy little chart. There's the CPUs themselves. If you want a little bit more info on Zen 2, there is an AnandTech article linked in the description that has a write-up on them, and most specifically this little chart that shows you all of the upcoming Zen 2 CPUs that we're expecting to launch. Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7, and now Ryzen 9, which is going to be indicating the higher core count CPUs from 12 to hopefully 16 core, but they didn't actually confirm a 16 core quite yet. It's only been from the other channels that have confirmed 16 core, not directly from AMD. So we have the 3600 at the bottom of the stack for 200 bucks. That's a 6 core. We also have a 3600X at the 6 core. 37 and 3800Xs are 8 cores, and that's actually going to be also probably a pretty compelling option, the $330 3700X. But regardless of which of these CPUs you might want to get, you can't get them until next month. But what if you need a computer like right now? That is what my June build is all about. This is sub $500, so it's a minimal investment, and it is Zen 2 ready. Although I will point out that you will need a BIOS update for the motherboard in order to be ready for Zen 2. Unfortunately, most of these BIOS updates are already available. And then the second caveat is that one of the features of Zen 2 in the Ryzen 3000 series of processors is PCI Express Gen 4 support. You will not get PCI Express Gen 4 support with any existing AM4 300 series or 400 series motherboard. This is something that AMD has just recently confirmed. There was speculation that via BIOS updates, they might be PCI Express Gen 4 compatible, but AMD has said no. If you want PCI Express Gen 4, you've got to get a 500 series motherboards, and those also aren't available quite yet. But you probably don't need PCI Express Gen 4. There's only going to be a few sort of edge case scenarios, such as if you're getting the latest Navi graphics card when it eventually launches, and that may or may not actually make use of the bandwidth of PCI Express 4.0. And then we also have some SSDs that are coming out, some M.2 NVMe SSDs that actually can theoretically take advantage of that extra bandwidth, but those are also sort of just just being announced. So chances are you can get by just fine with the 400 series motherboard for right now. So that is why I have chosen the parts that I've chosen here. Total price currently is $467.83. It's after a mail-in rebates. But at the heart of this build is the AMD Ryzen 3 2200G, which I've recommended for a while now since it originally launched, because it's less than $100, down to about $87 now, and you get not only a quad-core processor but integrated graphics as well. So you don't need to worry about splurging on a graphics card for the time being. And then when you upgrade down the road, upgrade your CPU, upgrade your GPU, and you will go from a sort of entry-level $500 build to a much more powerful system. Of course, you'll pay more money for that, but at least for now, you will have a working system. The motherboard I've chosen is the ROG Strix B450-F Gaming. I've also frequently recommended the MSI Tomahawk B450 motherboard, but the ROG Strix one has come down in price, and I think it looks a little bit nicer. It does have a few features that the MSI board doesn't have, although the power delivery on here is maybe not quite as good as the Tomahawk. So if you are looking to get one of those 8 cores or 12 cores and overclock, then maybe also still lean towards the Tomahawk. Tomahawk's about $110. This board is about $120, but Asus also does a really good job at keeping their boards up to date for the newer series of processors and everything. So there it is. But feel free to get the Tomahawk too if you'd rather have that one. For memory, we have a G.Skill Ripjaws 5 kits. This is also one that I've recommended multiple times before, available for just $78 on Newegg. DDR4 3200, and you do want faster DDR4 memory if you're pairing it with Ryzen, and 16 gigs is what I recommend right now. A 2x8 gig kit that will give you a couple more memory slots available on the motherboard if you decide to upgrade in the future, since the motherboard has 4 memory slots. And you should be able to plug in the XMP setting for this memory to run it at 3200 speed, and at the very least, if you're having any difficulty hitting that speed, you should be able to run it at 2933. For storage, I was just going for something that will be minimally priced, and for that you want about a 500 gig class standard SATA SSD. There are a few that are cheaper than this one from ADATA. It's about $55, but this one is going to be a little bit faster than those, and it is their 800 series, which is a little bit nicer. So for a few more bucks, I felt like this was a better choice than some of those really cut rates, $45, $50 500 gig SSDs. For a case, we have the NZXT H500. About a $70 case is kind of what you're going to be looking at in this range. There are cheaper cases, but I find them to often be lacking in features. This one has tempered glass, tons of room to work with inside. The only downfall of this case is that you are limited to a single 120mm fan that it ships with, so consider popping another one in there just for standard airflow, or of course you can get more fans than that and kit it out fully if you want to. And then finally, for a power supply, we have the Corsair CXM 650 watt, which is 80 plus bronze rated. Keep an eye out for good deals on 80 plus gold rated power supplies, but 550 to 650 watts is all you really need for a power supply. This one's partially modular, so you don't need to plug in all the cables, and the cables themselves are all black, so they're not going to stand out and look ugly once your build is put together. So with this build, you have sub $500, full-size ATX system with tons of upgrade and expansion possibilities, and my recommendation would be to wait about a month and then take a look at the Ryzen 3000 series processors that launch. Again, with the BIOS update, you should be able to drop them into this motherboard. There's really good 6-core, 8-core, and 12-core options on the horizon, and we're really excited about the potential instructions per clock improvement that we're getting with this new series of CPUs, as well as, of course, the possibility of going upwards of 8 cores, since we do have a 12-core variant now available, and even the potential for like a 16-core option down the line as well. The final thing you'd need if you did that upgrade would be to add a graphics card as well, and I will leave that to your discretion because that's sort of a separate discussion as far as what graphics card you could go with. Anything from the $300 to the maybe $500 to $700 range I think would be a good pairing with this. So I would opt for like an RTX 2070, which you can get for around $500. But again, maybe when Navi launches, whenever that actually happens, that will provide some more options as well. For now though, let's take a look at my second build, which is the HTPC, and I am following up my original Ultimate HTPC build, which is from July 16th, 2017 now, which I have promised to upgrade and do updates on for quite some time. So basically, this is sort of the updated parts list for my Ultimate HTPC, which I am planning on continuing to do some work on and some updated videos, so stay tuned for those when they become available. But here's what I've got in there, or sort of what I have in there and what I want to put in there. And please ignore the compatibility warnings on here, because I already know that these parts are compatible. So for a CPU right now, I would go for the Ryzen 5 2600 because it's 6-core. You don't need a ton of cores in an HTPC processor, but I do use this system for gaming and direct gaming on the system, so for that, a 2600 is a good option. The cooler is a no-fan CR95C fanless CPU cooler, and these are actually pretty hard to find these days, but Quiet PC USA does have them in stock. They're a bit expensive at about $115, but this one has been cooling I've actually had a few different processors under it so far, and it does a great job, and there's no fan included. It's available in a sort of a nickel finish as well as a copper finish. The only downside to this is that it is only AM3 compatible, so that is why the motherboard I'm using is still the Asus Crosshair 6 Hero, which is an X370 motherboard, which should still be getting updates for the Ryzen 3000 series of processors, so maybe next month or so I will update the CPU in this build once again. But it also has a pretty good audio solution with the Supreme Effects audio, lots of expansion with SATA ports. It's got that USB 3.1 Gen 2 port on it, tons of I/O at the back. But one of the features that Asus had on this board when they first launched it was backwards compatibility with AM3 CPU coolers. So you can see this is actually an AM3 mount here. These sort of narrower ones that you can see just behind it is the AM4 mount. So I need this board in order to use the cooler that I want to use, which is the fanless one. And that does mean that if I wanted to update that HTPC for Ryzen 3000 series and update the motherboard as well, I would either have to ditch my CR95C fanless cooler, which I really don't want to do, or I would have to find a motherboard that it can somehow mount to. I did see some 500 series motherboards at Computex that had Intel mounts, I think, but that was kind of weird. I'll have to look into that some more, but for the time being, this is the board I'm continuing to use. For memory, I have this Corsair Vengeance LPX kit, DDR4 3200. It's low profile, so it sits under the cooler and works at 3200 speed with the XMP settings on an AMD platform. Down to $85 now, which is super nice. For storage, I want lots of SSD storage, basically. For this parts list, I have dropped in the ADATA SU800 2TB SSD because it's about $200 for 2 terabytes, so that's a pretty reasonable price. This SSDs I'm actually using with the system right now are different than this, but I'm probably going to reconfigure those once I go back to do the rebuild. For a graphics card, my intent would be to drop a 2080 Ti into the build. I was using a 1080 Ti back when that was the fastest graphics card, and that is what's currently still installed on it, but I will probably eventually go with the 2080 Ti when I update it too. So here's an EVGA one for the low price of $1,100. If you guys are interested in what the HTPC looks like right now, or just about right now, there it is. It's basically sitting on top of my subwoofer, collecting dust, but it's very functional, and we've been using it as an HTPC. My most recent update video on this was back in December, but don't worry, I'm going to update it again, more, I promise. Finally, for the power supply, we have the Enermax Digi Fanless 550 watt, because again, fanless for HTPC. I was trying to go as fanless as possible. The only thing currently in the build that has a fan on it is the graphics card, and the graphics card has 0 fan mode, so the fans don't spin unless it's being used. So most of the time, it is essentially a fanless solution. The last things I would want to add to this ultimate HTPC would probably be an up-to-date current generation VR headset. Valve just recently announced the Valve Index. It's supposed to be coming in May, but I don't know if they've actually started shipping them out quite yet. And I did not put down a pre-order for this, so I might have to try to get one somehow, or maybe I will still order one, we'll see. For now, I do have an HTC Vive as well as an Oculus Rift that I can continue to use. And then lastly, I'm using the HD Home Run Prime that supports cable cards, so we have cable service through our cable provider. You can drop the cable card into this, connect this to your network, and then any system on the network can access the TV tuners on the card. So you don't necessarily have to have a TV tuner card that's part of the HTPC that you put together. Connect this to your network, and then it's much more versatile. This one in particular has 3 tuners, so the HTPC can record up to 3 programs at once. And what I'm hopefully going to be doing is integrating this with the free NAS, so that the NAS can record shows and save them there, so that the HTPC can stay off when it's not being used, because that would help save power. But guys, those are my builds for this month. Parts lists are down in the description if you want to check them out. I will be back next month with some updated builds featuring hopefully just launched or about to launch Ryzen 3000 series stuff, which I think is one of the more exciting launches in recent memory. So I'm looking forward to that. Hope you guys are too. If you did enjoy this video, hit the thumbs up button on your way out. And again, links to everything I talked about is down in the description. Also, don't forget to vote on next month's straw poll. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.